Okay, it's recording.
Okay, we're asking Pap what his first memories of Glen Lake are, because we're at Glen Lake and we want to know how long he's been coming here and what he remembers.
Look at all that water.
Well, don't be silly. Just tell me what you remember about Glen Lake.
I used to come up here when I was a kid. We had a lot of fun swimming in the lake. We thought it belonged to us. There was nobody else there but us.
How old were you?
Yeah.
How old were you?
When I was 6 and 7 years old.
On Big Glen?
Big Glen, before that even. A couple of years.
And then how long have you been coming to this place?
95 years.
95? Well, no, not 95 years.
Well,
it feels like
make it 85.
A lot, but ever since you can remember?
Yeah.
Do you have pictures of you on this same place where we're staying right now?
Not the same place.
No, but I meant like right up.
Not the same house.
No, but up like where Nanny used to live? I think that's really cool, don't you?
Yeah.
I mean, that you were here when you were a kid. I was telling some of my friends I was coming to Michigan.
Right.
And they said, I thought your family lived in Pittsburgh. Why are you going to Michigan? So I was telling them because my dad has been going to, my dad's dad lived in Michigan.
Yeah.
And so he's been going there ever since he was little, but I didn't know when.
Right.
So what else do you remember about coming to the lake? Do you remember anything about it?
I remember, I remember we went visiting his people. Bessie and Eleanor lived over at Traverse City. He really farmed. Mm-hmm. And he had 2 beautiful daughters, and they were a lot older than I was, but I thought, wow.
That's why you thought that.
Yeah, right. And what was the guy's name that owned the...
Yeah.
I can't think of that, owned the property. It'll come to me but it was on the other side on the Narrows. Mm. And we come over here, started coming over here, I would guess when I was about, I might have been a teenager or early
when you started coming to the Ritz.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And we rented that from Bill for a few years. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, we became friends of Bill's. We did... When we come up, we did a lot of work on the cottages. And it got to the point where his wife didn't allow him to do anything.
Martha.
And, Mm-hmm. And he made a deal with my dad. He said, I'll put this in your name, and you're responsible for us the rest of our lives. Mm-hmm. And that was the bargain, really. She went there to go to a home, which was maybe $3,000 or $4,000 a month.
Yeah.
But he got this. But then he sold. I think he sold that front one first to
Sexton's.
And then Mike Aleo bought this one next door.
Yeah. And then he had the Ritz, and then when he died, Pap got the other one too.
Yeah, he got the Stone too. And I think Chuck was staying in the Stone at the time, and my dad could move out. I sold it.
Yeah.
He did things that way.
He was a little crazy like that, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you used to come up and stay the summer? Or did you
No,
you just came up for vacation?
Maybe at the most a month, I can remember.
Yeah.
Chuck used to come up a month, but he closed the donut shop. Mm-hmm. And everybody knew, all these customers knew he closed for the month of August. So it worked out pretty well for him. Mm-hmm. At one point, my dad talked about me taking over the cottages. I said, Dad, I couldn't use them.
No.
Now, Chuck was able to swing it.
Because he owned the donut shop and you were...
Well, that's before he... I think he was still in the service that we talked, And I didn't... When it went to Chuck, I figured he earned every dime.
Yeah.
Because I still think the donut shop was one of the causes of his death.
Really?
He had...
Why?
Colon cancer.
Yeah.
And I think it was his diet. were all healthy.
Oh, his diet, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he'd be down there eating a hot hoagie or something
Yeah.
at midnight.
Yeah, 'cause he had a
He'd
crazy
go home
lifestyle.
he went home for dinner. He'd eat with the kids, and then if he went down there at night, he'd be eating bullshit food, you know. Yeah, I think that's my impression. Because Chuck was as healthy as any of us, you know.
Oh, Austin said don't swear in the movie.
Oh, holy heck.
Yeah, don't swear, because that's getting kind of old.
Listen, you.
That's nice, Austin. That's nice of Austin.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Thank you.
He's my buddy. He would be honest with
Yeah.
me. Aren't you?
Yeah.
You're my buddy.
That's a good.
Truly.
That's a good suggestion. Why don't you ask Pep a question now?
Truly my buddy.
What do you
Okay.
want to know about Pep's life?
When he was in the Army, the Air Force.
Oh yeah, tell us about that.
Okay.
I had lots
Come
of
over
fun.
here so he can look at you, and then he'll be looking at.
Okay. Now.
Tell about when you went to the service. Why did you go? All that stuff. Ask
Oh,
him.
that's
You
a
ask him.
long
You
interview.
story.
Yeah.
I went in when I was 17 and was down at the University of Florida. Went down in September. It was at the University of Florida till Christmas time.
How did you get in the service at 17? Didn't you have to be 18?
Yeah, but you were it was ASTRAP, Army Specialized Training Program. You could get in when you were
Austin.
if you were 17.
Oh.
You that's why it's a reserve for ASTRP, reserve program. Then it became
Go ahead outside.
ASTP, Army Specialized Training Program. And the idea was, well, the war was closing. They didn't need, they used to have.
Because this would have been 1944.
This was in 40. Well, I went in 43 to the University of Florida, and I was home in 45. So I was for 2 years. But
What kind of specialized training was it? Do you know what you were going to training for?
we went to that's what university. The University of Florida was going to be more in the engineering oriented than anything else. But then when I was there from March or from September till December, and I was getting a furlough between. That was the end of the program down at the University of Florida.
It was kind of like basic training then?
Huh?
Was it like basic training?
Well, I hadn't gone to basic training yet. But I had, thank God I had the presence of mind to go over to Camp Blanding and transfer to the Air Corps.
Oh, what you were in the Army before that?
Army Specialized Training
I
Program.
see.
So
I see.
wasn't connected with the Air Force.
What made you do that?
Because that's what I wanted in the first
I see.
place. I wanted Air Force.
Yeah.
And this was a good way in. There was 2 programs, the ASTRP, and then the Navy had the same program. But
you wanted to be a flyer.
yeah, I wanted to be a hot rod. Yeah, and it never came about. I had a good. I would recommend every son of mine could have had my experience in the cadets.
Really?
I got to know some good officers. At the age of 18, I was a physical training instructor
Yeah.
and a parachute landing trainer.
Parachute landing
18.
trainer.
Huh?
Like, what did you know about it? How could you train?
Well,
people?
they trained me first, and it was just a matter of holding them till they got down. It's okay, jump,
Oh God, you were 18 years old.
Yeah, and I made a lot of friends. And when you're in the PT department, you have the mess squadron and the guard squadron and the physical training. We could go into out of them any time because they knew we'd take care of them any time because you had to take physical training tests every 30 days or something like that. So we had a little bit of stuff. And I felt it made me feel good.
For sure.
I had sometimes a class of all up to major.
Yeah.
second lieutenants, first
You were
lieutenant.
getting them in shape.
Yeah, and I was.
Did they teach you how to do that? Like
I knew how to do that.
Yeah.
Air Force hop
Yeah.
and push-ups. I could push up from now till Christmas, and the same with pull-ups. I could stand there and discuss a book. I mean, I was
You
in
were
shape.
fit,
I was
yeah,
in good
yeah.
shape, and I don't begrudge any minute that I put in the Air Force. The only thing I begrudge.
So you were only in it for 2 years?
Yeah, I went in and actually I went into the program in September of 43, and I come out in November of 45, so I was close to 2 years.
And that was all you had to do?
Yeah.
Sign up for it. Yeah. And then the war was over.
Well, the point was, when they started closing everything up, they gave us they knew the ones that were there would like to be in the pilot training program.
Well, why didn't you ever keep doing that?
Well, I'll tell you why. It was about October of 45, and B-29s were a major part of that part of the war. And we had signed up to go to B-29 engineering, they promised us that we would go to pilot training in April of the following year. And I still was writing to Mom. And we had a guy, his name was, what the hell was his name? Who took the deal. He went.
You were in Florida then? One of your Florida buddies?
No,
you
we were at.
because you was only there for 3 months.
Huh?
You were only in Florida for 3 months. Is that when you went up back to Michigan?
Florida 3 months. Then we went what was called on-the-line training at the George Field, Illinois.
Oh, Illinois.
Pueblo, Colorado. Del Rio, Texas. You know, it was. They just didn't know what to do with us.
Yeah. You had a couple months more, and so you wanted to get training in the B-29 engineering?
I wouldn't have minded that, except I still had a case on Mom.
Oh, right.
And I would have to sign up till past April.
You were getting heart sick.
Well, yeah, I was ready to get home to see my babe. And it's strange that it worked that way. Everything worked right for me. I went into my...
So you started to tell me about a guy that signed up for the B-29 training?
Yeah.
What about
him? I forget his name, Salkowitz or something like that. Anyway, one morning at 6 o'clock, I'm going into the latrine, we called it. And his plane flew over. And right off of our base, it was him as an engineer in that plane crashed about right at the end of our.
Right in front of where you were.
I didn't see it, but you know we knew what it was when it burst a flame, and that again convinced me I did the right thing.
Right.
You know, it's not that I was afraid to. I was a cadet officer.
So that was in 45.
That was right in 45.
End of 45, December.
Right.
And then when you came home, you got married in February of 46.
No. Oh, yeah, right. I got home in November 45. And that's what we were talking about, the donut shop. I definitely remember when they opened. It was April of 45. It was the same year But anyway, everything went my way, and I thought it was going against me. Oh. At one time, I was a favorite of our commander, was the first lieutenant, and then he appointed the squadron commanders and the group commander and the staff sergeants and all that. And I was a squadron commander, and I acted like a soldier. I mean, I looked like a soldier. I didn't play games, and not to any extreme point.
But you were serious. You were serious.
Yeah. When and Ed Broboloff, I made him my next in mine, and another friend of mine and next to that. So how far along did I get there?
You were talking about when you quit in 45 and came home. But so where were you when Ed Broboloff was your second in command?
What's that?
Were you in Illinois when Robiloff?
Oh, well, I don't know. I was in George Field,
You
Illinois,
need to get a little higher.
and I mean these are different. They just
Right.
kept moving us to Del Rio, Texas. That was down on the Mexican border, and Pueblo, Colorado, and I said George Field, Illinois. And then I went to basic training in Greensboro, North Carolina, same place that the infantry went for basic training. But like I say, this Lieutenant Hayes was a guy named, and everybody was joking. They said he was a 90-day wonder because he. I remember when he first addressed us as a squadron. I'm going to tell you one thing. If you do everything what I tell you to do, you won't hear from me. But you only get one chance. And he meant it. And sometime during that time, I went into his office and I said, Lieutenant, I'd like to transfer.
Hold on. Pap's just telling me something. Is Pap on the movie right now?
Yeah, he's on the movie.
I said, I'd like to transfer to the paratroopers. And he kind of looked.
He said, son, no.
Oh, he said, over my dead body. He knew it was a nutty thing to do. But it was something you shouldn't even want to run away. I had it easy. Christ, I could do anything I wanted to do, practically.
Did you see that? I bought you when you had your surgery that series, the World War II series, Band of Brothers.
Yeah, I think I have.
Did you ever watch it?
Yeah, I watched it when we had the other. I can't use it in my
Oh, you can't?
telephone. No, we don't. That was the
CD.
8mm or whatever.
No, it's CDs.
No, they were the ones you push into.
No, I bought it for you, and it was CDs. Well, I bought it for you when you had your surgery. But if you haven't watched it, it's called Band of Brothers.
Yeah.
You would really like it. And then the second one, Robbie got it for us for Christmas. It's called The Pacific.
Yeah.
It's all about the Pacific Theater.
Right.
It is. I mean, since you were at that time, you would remember. You probably knew.
Yeah.
It is amazing.
How the
It's amazing that the thing.
the whole thing's the whole war really is amazing. And some
You're in Pep's light, honey.
some
See,
false.
so he can see them.
The two people in the world that believed that Hitler wanted to capture the world were Franklin Roosevelt and Prime Minister, and they
Churchill.
were Churchill, and they were buddies. And in my mind, I still think it's a shame to think that way, but I'm not the only one who thought it. Pearl Harbor was a couple thousand miles away from Japan. You mean to tell me they didn't know till December the 7th that plan, or even if they started to fly, I mean, I think he'd let it happen
to get in the war.
to get into the war.
Yeah.
Just like George Bush attacked Iraq
So that we could get
to get into the
Excuse
war.
me, Papa. In Pearl Harbor, did one of the ships blow up?
A lot of them did, yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Did you learn about that?
Yeah, we have a game called Medal of Honor Rising Sun. We play a battle in Pearl Harbor, and we're in the ship. We gotta try to get out before it blows up.
You know they have video games of
Yeah.
that. Now.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. We could show you one time.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, you know what? You maybe after we're done with this, you could show Pep that.
Yeah, there's a YouTube video I can
That's
show
what
you.
started us in World War II.
Did you know that?
Because the next day, our president got on the television and said, you know, they were evil, and I hereby declare war. It was a state of war.
Yeah, I know how the whole thing started. A bomb, like a torpedo, like shook the ship, and then everybody got up and they started, like,
Exploding.
no, they started like saying, "What was that? What was that? Let's," and then it hit again, and then the ship started kind of sinking, so they tried to escape, right?
Right.
They couldn't
they
get
were
off.
surprised because they never dreamed they would be attacked by. They really thought, like I think, that when I say airplanes, I'm talking like 500 airplanes in the air between.
Yeah, how could they miss that?
Couldn't miss it.
Couldn't, you're right.
Absolutely couldn't
And
miss
didn't
it.
they battle? Were they what state like country were they trying to like? Was it Canada's
Japan.
airplane? That's
Oh.
or Japan.
Japan's airplanes attacked us.
Yeah.
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 It's
No,
Pap was in the service. You weren't in Pearl Harbor was 42, right?
right.
And Pap was in the Air Force in 43, the next year. Did you know that? Pap was in the Air Force?
Yeah.
So then, anyhow, then you were saying you came back from the Air Force. Oh, you started to talk about the day that you came back is when Pap bought the donut shop.
Not the day. That's the day I knew about it. I had in the mail. They had told.
Let me sit up.
That April, before I got out in November,
Yeah. You're gonna stop.
that April, he had opened the donut shop.
Okay.
He had.
Yeah, he was putting donuts in the windows. We had 600 dozen per Drake and so many for Stallings. I mean, he had it wired before he started.
And then when you got home, you had an automatic job.
Yeah, right.
We're making a movie. You want to come in and ask any questions?
I do.
We're on the donut shop.
Oh, okay.
Well, Dad just said that it was April when he got out of the service, and when he got home, Pap had just started the donut shop and just had orders. Was it all wholesale then?
No, he had a retail.
He had retail too.
Yeah. See what the wholesale did was give us. That's one of the ways he was able to build a. When you talk about a good donut, it's not always a taste; it's getting it fresh.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're making, and you got one company that's taking $600 a dozen a day, and another one that's making 200. That means everybody that comes in during that time gets hot donuts, and that's what built the business. And then when I took over.
So at this point, you were just like maybe 23 years old.
Yeah, I was 29 when I quit, so I was
Yikes,
for 2 years.
23 took over.
4 kids.
Well, not yet, but
well, whatever.
Yeah.
But when I took it over, I started a night shift.
So Pap retired, or what do you mean you took it over?
Well, no, in fact,
Is
I
this
used
bugging you?
I used to
I
say
can
to
hold
him,
it.
Dad, why don't you go do what you do best, and I'll handle this.
Himself, like getting
Yeah,
customers.
that's what he did. He went with Brolight, and he and the buddies that were salesmen, they anyway, some of them were flower people, that we dealt with. But when I started I knew that if I gave these guys fresh donuts, it would help.
Mm-hmm.
And I had maybe 10 or 15 drivers that come in during the night. And which meant,
How could you keep up with them? How could just one little conveyor belt keep up with all that?
well, a couple girls bringing them, and you'd be frying them probably till before I started the night shift. You'd still be frying them by midnight.
It must have been madness.
But anyway,
Was it crazy?
the big thing was that I had a relationship with these guys, and I just felt that if I was giving them a better product, they'd cooperate. And
Did they?
Oh, absolutely. I only had one guy, our whirler. I had this policy. I had about 10 drivers. So that means I could over make almost 80 or 90 or 100 extra dozen. And I had guys that would take 20 dozen on the basis that if you don't sell them, bring them back.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they wanted to sell them.
The light has to be on him, on Pap.
I know.
Okay.
Because they made a good profit
Yeah.
on them. So they wanted to sell it.
Yeah.
I only had one driver that ever returned some donuts.
Really?
and it
Because
was
they could sell them.
Herb Orling, yeah. And he was a no good.
Really?
Not good for me, that's all.
So you
Anyway.
ran for probably about 6 years.
We're making like
Uh,
a video.
I don't know whether it was 6 years.
Well, you got out of the
I'll tell
service
you
when
what.
you were. Oh, you got out of the service when you were like 21.
Yeah, and we got married.
And you got married when you were 20. So you were in the donut shop all that time?
I quit the donut shop when I was 29.
So
Because
almost.
I used to have to work all night,
Right.
scrub the floor, and in the morning, if the if we had regular flour shipment coming, they would slide it down the chute into the cellar. But when we bought the donut from Dawn, storefront delivery, so it's walk. You know, do you remember what it looked like, the belt?
Oh yeah. I rung donuts on that belt.
Okay, so, and you'd have to go to the truck, take them off, and carry them
Out
past
the
the belt,
Out
and
the
in
back,
the back,
and then down.
And 50 bags.
Oh my
And
God.
this is
Good
after.
thing you were the calisthenics instructor in the service.
Yeah, this is after you have just worked
Yeah.
12, 14 hours.
Is that why you quit?
Well, I did, I leaned on the belt, and I was 29 years old.
The light.
And
Keep getting in the way of the light.
It's still on.
Okay.
I just
Yeah, the
said,
light's still
wake
on.
up, Bob, you can't do this forever. And I quit.
Oh, because at 29 you could carry those bags out there and
Oh,
work
yeah,
all night
sure.
and scrub the floor, but then
I probably still could if I had to, but anyway, Barb's brother George was in town,
yeah.
and I come home the next day and I said, I gave my job to George. I still kid her about that.
And what did she say?
Okay.
No, really?
Yeah. Well,
Like, where's our paycheck next week?
Do I have a
no,
great
I still work. When I worked at the donut shop, I still did some selling on Saturday. I sold the air scents you put in the bathroom in the bars.
Yeah.
On Saturdays, I'd go out Saturday 8 o'clock in the morning to hit the bars, and by the time I come home at noon, I would have sold 10 of them, and I'd be half loaded. we had a great life.
Wait, I think you had about 3 kids by now?
She hardly
Or-
ever saw me.
Yeah.
And then I forget all the.
Yeah, listen to the rest of the story. You'll really relate it.
Anyway, we were customers of Western and Southern insurance companies, and we lived at Botsford, and he came for collect. He was a debit collector.
Who's this? I'm sorry.
That was Joe Duyak, and he was the manager.
Mm-hmm.
Not the big manager. Parada was the big manager, and he asked me what I was doing, and I told him, and he said, "How would you like to sell insurance?" I said, "Okay."
So that's how the insurance started.
Yeah. And then
That was Western and Southern?
Western and Southern, but with debit.
Right. And so
Yeah,
you went around
nickel and
collecting.
dime.
Yeah.
And Parada was a real devil. He'd like I can remember going into the project when he'd be sitting in the, taking you, riding with you. Christ, he'd be out of the car before I got stopped, trying to show me what you're supposed to do. Well, that wasn't my idea,
Oh, right.
so it didn't go over so well. And then with Frank Fleckenstein.
Wait a minute. Didn't he know more than you about selling insurance?
Oh, sure he did.
But why didn't you want to listen to him?
I didn't like him
Personally.
spying on me.
Oh, I see.
And I didn't like the idea of I had to report every week, Thursday or whatever day it was, and I need to pay for that. I'd report at 8 o'clock in the morning, and it might not be 10:30, 11 before I could start calling on customers.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I just didn't like the fairness of it.
Mm-hmm.
And Frank Fleckenstein, you know who he is. Fleckenstein,
Yeah.
Fleckenstein the baker.
Yeah. He was Pap's. His dad was Pap's friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Frank Fleckenstein called
Senior.
me away, come down and see me one day, and he said, "Come on, we'll sell home improvements. I'm doing well."
So this is while you were selling insurance.
Then I quit that.
Yeah.
But I still had my insurance license. Mm-hmm. And then before much longer after that, I worked for McShane, got my real estate broker's license. I worked at Robin Realty, where
Now here's where I start remembering all this. Well, I remember Fleckenstein and and when you got into home improvements, I must have been little, but I remember it because we lived at Botsford Street then.
Right.
Yeah.
It was. I was like always looking for a rainbow.
So Fleckenstein. I've always tried to put them in order because I remember the jobs like starting.
I can't do that. I can't.
Well, starting with the insurance, and then McShane's, and then I remember Robin Realty was before McShane's.
Yeah.
And then.
And I had my.
I really want to do this, okay, honey?
Austin,
I'm sorry.
Come here. What are you doing?
Nothing. He just wants us to stop it, and
No, him. He's doing it.
it's okay. He wants to make a movie, and I told him a little bit longer, but we got that on a roll. It's okay, honey. Austin wants to make a movie too, so but I just wanted maybe we'll
I'm your hero.
We'll pick up tomorrow.
No, don't do that.
No, don't stop.
It wears me out, man. I can't talk about it anymore. I think back and I think because now the mistakes I made click.
We don't want that to happen.
Well, no, there's
you know what?
I was chasing the rainbows.
Life is full of mistakes, though, right?
I don't know, it shouldn't be.
Yes, it is.
Not for a guy with better than average intelligence. I mean, you should be able to recognize when you're making a mistake. I made a bundle of mistakes, looking for the quick dollar. I didn't gamble. My mom at one time thought I was a gambler, but I didn't gamble. I tried selling different things. You know, I sold water softeners.
I remember that. Freezers.
Water geysers.
Freezers. You never sold filter queens. That was Bill.
Huh?
Filter queen. Sweepers.
Filter queen,
that
no.
was Bill.
I wrote
Snowmobiles.
Snowmobile.
How about the Jim King? Land opportunities or something.
Jim King was. If I was
You
allowed
ever
to
see Jim
swear in
King?
front of you, it's the worst thing that ever happened to me. The worst. And Paul Barron, who had.
I never liked Jim King. He was just a big
and he was
bad guy.
He was exactly what you think he was.
He was a big old bad guy.
But he had Paul Barron. You know, he had the Ford agency, and Paul and I were good friends. And he used to come in. Jim was sitting. He spent a lot of time in my. Office. I had met him when I worked at.
He was
Robin,
he'd like be sitting back, big old guy, like on his feet up, big fat guy. He'd have his feet up and smoking, and he just was not.
Anyway, where was I?
Yeah, but you were just.
Oh, so I wasn't the only one that was con. Paul Barron was too, and he.
Did he have you put money in it?
No,
just
he
time.
Just a lot of bullshit. His dad was supposed to be one of the founders of Great Yellow Cab Company.
Jim King.
And his mother sent him a check every month, $200. And I'd take them to the bank and get them cash. And the last one, believe it or not, was for $3,000. And I took it over because they cashed it on my.
Why? Why was Jim King having you cash his check?
Because they didn't know who he was. Anyway, that's the biggest mistake of all.
But why was that? I don't get it. Do you get it? Why that was a mistake? Because you were.
They wouldn't have cashed it. They wouldn't have cashed it. They said, let them. They held it and said, "Okay, come back tomorrow and get your money." This way, I had the responsibility, and if I'd have handled it right, I could have had Mellon go after his mother because it was his mother's check. Either she wrote a bad check or he forged one.
Oh.
One of the two.
I see. Oh, and then you lost your money.
That was the biggest mistake that I made. Because
what were you getting out of it? What were you getting out of it to cash his checks? What was your?
We were just talking about. I was